My mom was really young when she had me. She was barely 18. So my uncle is only 15 years older than I am. So we had a very close, more of a brother-sister kind of thing with a little bit of paternal stuff because my dad was a very reserved geek. So the relationship we had was much closer than I've had with a lot of other people in my family. His father, though, was very abusive. So my uncle was the forever alone type for a long time. Like, we wondered if he was maybe gay, maybe asexual. There had never been a hint of any kind of relationship from anywhere. Until, like, I'm in college. And, you know, we've always been very close. We're talking about all kinds of things. And now that I'm in college, it's starting to be more of like an equals kind of relationship, which my parents could never accept, but my uncle managed to deal with the fact that I had grown up and turned into an adult human being. So in my junior year, I went abroad to study in London. I only spent 3.5 months actually in London. I spent the rest of the time all around Europe. And for part of that, I met up with my uncle. He came over. We did a week in like Budapest, Prague, and Berlin. And as we're planning this out, he mentions that he has this friend, like a female friend. And this is shocking news, first of all. But he has a friend that maybe wants to come along on this trip. And I'm just like, yes, bring your friend, because I care about him deeply, and this is very intriguing news. So we plan this out, and he's going to meet me in Budapest, and she's going to meet up with us because she's going to see some of her family on the other side in some other Eastern European country. I don't quite remember which one. Unfortunately, I get into Budapest, and we find out that she got appendicitis, so she's currently in an Eastern European hospital getting surgery, and didn't manage to meet up with us for this trip. So he very scrupulously only talks a little bit about her for the rest of the time. That's when I was 20 in my junior year, and he kind of keeps bringing her up afterwards. You know, and he's talking about this, and it's like, oh, she's really funny, and we get along really well, and like she gets my jokes, because he is a very funny guy. And so my senior year rolls along, and he asks, so I can't make it to your graduation, but I can come see your thesis night, and nobody else from my family can come see my thesis night. So he comes down, and he asks if he can bring Carol. So I'm just like, yes, bring Carol. This is the same Carol? Yes, it is the same Carol? Okay. So he brings her down because my family's all originally from New Hampshire. So this is actually like a trip, and they have their hotel and everything. And we go out and we do the thesis night, and my play is performed, and we go out for dinner, and she's really funny. Like very biting, witty humor. It works out really well. So I've been hearing about her, and he's also been talking on the side because he still lived with his mother for a long time. He lived with our grandmother. And a lot of it was, you know, supporting her because, you know, once his father had moved out and everything, she didn't really have a lot to fall back on. She just worked part-time at a furniture store. So it was more him helping her than the reverse. But, you know, still, he's a man in his late 30s living with his mother. So I know he's been looking at houses and everything, and I'm just basically sitting there like this. Because this idea that my uncle could actually, you know, be a person and have a life is really exciting. So they come down, we have a great time. I think she's wonderful. And I'm like, this is great. They go back to their hotel. The next day we all go out for like lunch or breakfast. And we have a nice time and everything. And at one point she goes to the bathroom or whatever, and he just looks at me from across the table and he goes, "Thank you." And I'm pretty sure my uncle had like maybe never even kissed anybody before at that point. About 2.5 months later, at the 4th of July, we get a call from my family because all of a sudden he's announced his engagement. And then a year later they get married, and a year after that they have children. So I got to be there and like see this whole thing happen, and it's still very, very special to me because like when he started getting to know her, it was great. And then he pulls it out and he's just, if they hadn't come down, if I hadn't spent that whole time like poking him a little bit, like, I don't know. I have a 3-year-old cousin right now. It's pretty great.